Forest Brothers podcast. It's your boy Mutsa Chris Don back in the cut, joined by my two brothers, Nkosi and Samson. What is good? What is good, my brothers? This is our first episode of 2026. Let me start by saying Happy New Year to you, our wonderful listeners. It's great to be here with y'all. We've got big things coming for the year. We can't wait to hang with y'all. And you know what? Let me even start by saying thank you. Thank you for spending 2025 listening to us and spending time with us. We appreciate everybody who tuned in, dropped a comment, dropped a like, joined our lives. We really appreciate you. So we're looking to hang out with you some more again in 2026. And yeah, so with that, this particular episode, we'll be talking about Mr. Ruben Amorim. If you are not yet privy as to what's happening over at Manchester United, they drew 1-1 with Leeds early in the day today. That was the first game of the Sunday game week. And yeah, it was a 1-1. They actually had to equalize. So it was a very good game. Leeds is a tough place to play these days. But after that game though, Amorim was talking to the media and he expressed some frustrations with the higher ups at Manchester United. I guess Amorim is really frustrated with the lack of players or with the lack of initiatives and like bringing in players because, as we all know, Manchester United right now is especially weak because they don't have Mbuemo, they don't have Ahmad due to AFCON. Mazraoui as well. I'm like I think he's also one of the players missing. So and Mbuemo and Ahmad are basically their best players right now. Without those guys, United is pretty weak. And they let go of a lot of guys in the summer. So they haven't really replaced a lot of the guys they let go of. And now they just lost more guys to AFCON who are going to be playing until the end of January. Like, I don't see those guys coming back anytime soon. So United is especially very weak right now because when we've watched their games and their brothers that come off their bench, there's nepotism just flying left, right, and center. Darren Fletcher's sons and talented just coming on the pitch, doing what they do. Like, I've never seen nepotism like that in my life. Maybe with LeBron and Bronny, but yeah, that's some crazy nepotism that's been happening there. Even today, like the young kid Heaven was brought on, and the goal that they conceded was even because Heaven made a mistake, and they paid for that mistake. Uh, but yeah, the youngsters are not really, and also again, Amarim has created a very like crazy situation in United because he did come out a couple of weeks ago criticizing youngsters at United, talking smack about them, beefing with the youngsters at United. So, and those are the only people he has to rely on right now. So it's a really funny situation. Anyway, point being, Amarim is frustrated because I believe maybe he thought he was promised, or maybe he was promised, more players. The thing is, I don't know why he's complaining right now because it's only January 5. The window just opened 4 days ago. So I don't know what crazy deals he thought was going to be happening like as soon as the window opened.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if, I think he's maybe a little frustrated about Semenyo because at some point, Man United, Man City, Liverpool were all in the running for Semenyo. And then, I guess United didn't go hard enough for Semenyo. And then and then Semenyo was obviously going to go the Man City route. So I think maybe that's what tipped it over for Amorim. Like, hey, I need this guy. But also, Amorim is very stubborn. He does not want to change his, what, is it a 3-4-3 formation? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like now where the bone of contention is because right now, the Manchester United director of football, Jason Wilcox, has basically been telling Amorim, like, my guy, adjust your system. This 3-4-3 thing you're doing does not suit the club, doesn't suit the players you have. You need to adjust. And Amorim is very stubborn because it's like, hey, yo, when y'all hired me, this is a system that I said I was going to play, and I need the personnel to make this play happen. And I'm sticking by it. If y'all want to fire me, you can fire me, but I ain't going to change it. So obviously there's been tension because, and the funny thing is, I loved watching that Newcastle game because Amorim actually did change his formation. He played a 4-2-3-1. Guess what? They beat Newcastle and had a clean sheet. And as soon as after that game was like, yeah, I could do it, but I'm choosing not to. And then the very next game, I think they drew or they lost. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I think that's just basically like the crux of the issue is they want Amrim to change his tactics. Amrim is frustrated with the higher ups about the fact that there's no playing power and there's no he can't get players in. So and you know the interview he gave today, we basically called them out on it and said, listen, I'm here for 18 more months and we're all supposed to move on after that. So I'm just, if you want to let go of me, you can, but I'm gonna do my job every day. I'm not supposed to be a coach. I'm supposed to manage the club. Y'all do your jobs. I do my job. So I don't know if he's baiting them to fire him. I think this time it's worked because it's looking like it's certainly going to happen now. But anyway, Samson, what's your take? Have I expressed everything as clearly as possible? But maybe I've left some things out. But anyway, Samson, what are your thoughts on this Amarim situation?
I think, yeah, like it's funny you say like this time it's worked because as we know, this isn't the first time Amorim has threatened to quit. Um, it's kind of been his thing from day one that I'm not gonna be here long, or if I can't do it, I'll leave. But clearly this time he struck a nerve. I think the head coach thing, manager thing, I think that struck a nerve because almost immediately like there was a whole avalanche of journalists like flooding on social media, like writing pieces, like and what viewers need to understand is that journalists don't just write things, you know, because they want to write things. They write things because the club, someone at the club is speaking. Someone heard what Amorim said and someone called journalists. Someone was like, yo, I need to put, I need to set the record straight. And that's what's going on. And I think it's interesting because I do see both sides in this, surprisingly. I do see both sides. I understand where Amir is coming from. If someone tells you they're going to do something, then they should do it. Like we all want people to honor these contracts that they say that that they are going to honor. Um, and I really don't see why you wouldn't go sign players because again, I don't think changing to a back four gives you depth all of a sudden. Like the team is struggling, in terms of numbers. You are missing a lot of defenders. Delict hasn't been seen in months. Bruno Fernandez went down last month. Kobe Maino, we haven't seen him in a month. So there's guys missing outside of AFCON. Um, you should definitely do something. Oh, and also the guys who are there, my guy, Ugarte, or whatever you want to call him, that guy must be the worst DM in the league. That he has to be. He has to be the worst six in the league playing football right now. He is absolutely horrible. And I know you've made the comment about Mr. Fletcher's kids, and I do believe that's nepotism. I mean, two of them is insane, really. Um, but I get it. I get it. If I had to watch Ugarte every week, I would start playing the Fletcher twins or brothers together, week in, week out, if it kept that brother away from the team, because my goodness. Um, but let me just read off a few of the names, because really, I was looking at their bench today against Leeds, and some of the names looked made up. I thought some brother snuck in and was using a fake name. Because, like, fine, you have Xerxes, you have Bindia, Malasia that we're used to. But then Tyler Fredrickson, Tyler Fletcher, Jack Fletcher, Bendito Mantato. Who is that? Godwill Kukonki. Bro, these are NPCs. These are not real players, man.
He doesn't even have a profile picture on Google.
Bro, this is just a guy, man. Like, I bet he was signed last week. Maybe this is the guy they signed when the transfer window opened. Maybe. Because,
They're unlocked characters.
bro,
They haven't been unlocked yet.
it's incredible. So I get it. Like, yo, they need to sign someone because that is a crazy bench to be naming in the Premier League. I know it's just Leeds, but, Leeds is a tough place to go to. And by the way, they drew against Wolves. Wolves! They gave Wolves their third point of the season. Like, dude, I mean, clearly they need players, but also onto the other side, Amarim, my guy, my brother, you collected your first 3 points in so long. It had been a minute since this brother saw 3 points. And you said, nah, I don't want to live like that. Like, seriously, look at the schedule. The 3 points they collected against Newcastle. The last time they collected, seen 3 points was Wolves and Crystal Palace. And besides that, it's just draws and L's. My guy saw the win and he was like, nah, not good enough. Not good enough. And I'm like, clearly the back four worked. It worked better than what you were doing. So I mean, I don't know, like, you know, maybe give it a go. Maybe try it a bit more. Maybe try some variations with some different players. Maybe give Xerxes a bit more minutes. They actually looked good when he came on. So I don't know. I feel like he's being too stubborn in some areas, but they should also bless the brother with some signings.
This shit. And it's just funny to me because, again, the fact that this is what's going to get Amrim fired as compared to his form,
Right.
that's the craziest part of this story to me because someone was drawing comparisons about other managers who've lost their jobs, like based off of their performances. Like Tottenham got rid of Ange, even though he won us Europa League championship. Like they were like, yeah, Ange, 17th in the league was not good enough. Yes, thank you for the trophy, but goodbye. And we've seen other teams as well make adjustments, take out guys who have actually been doing a little better than Amarim, if we're to be honest, because again, like this guy should have been fired months ago. Months ago. Like the form he's had, I think this year, now I'm gonna get the numbers mixed up. I'll take a look. But like his win rate this year I think his win rate in general is 31%, from what I understand, which is worse than who was that guy who was coaching Valencia and he had like a winner of 36% and that was like the worst ever? Like
Gary Neville?
Gary Neville, yeah. When Neville coached Valencia, like Amrim is still worse than that.
Yeah.
And he's been there for like a year now, like a year and a bit. Like Ten Hag was terrible, but Ten Hag was not even this terrible.
Yeah. And I'll just bring up another stat. Now he has a few more wins, so the stat doesn't quite work. But a few months ago, I think 2 months ago, this stat came up where he had 12 wins in 12 months. That was the number. He had 12 wins in 12 months. And I think since then he's added like three. But yeah, anybody really gets fired for that. If you have that at Everton, you get fired. If you have that at West Ham, you get fired. Somehow he's here, so kudos to him. I don't know how he's fooling though so far.
It's crazy. And Mangoro, I'm gonna take this to you because a lot of United players, even after all this like Amarim stuff, they're defending Amarim by saying that, hey, listen, yeah, you're saying he's having a terrible season, he's been a terrible coach, but currently Man United sit sixth in the Premier League at 31 points. They're basically 3 points away from Liverpool if they're from getting into top four, right? So one could say we win 2 games, we're in top four. So how bad can Amarim really be? Mangoro, what do you say to that sentiment being expressed by United fans? And then also just your general thoughts about this whole situation.
I'd say to just your first question then, I think it's a very interesting sentiment in the sense that if you think about it that way, you are also 2 losses for being in 12th. So either way, you can take it glass half full kind of situation where it's like, okay, fine, 2 wins, you're in the top four, but also 2 L's, you're sitting in 12th, and maybe that's the target. It is page 2 of the Premier League table, so you'll be sitting in second place. Maybe that's what they're looking for, or first place in 11th. So when I think about United and just this whole situation, I want to take us back to a couple of months ago when the owner, Sir Jim Radcliffe, shout out to him, he said that he's not too worried about firing Amarim. He said he wants to give him 3 years. So I think this is the 3 years you were talking about. And this is apparently the necessary pain that they'll have to go through with this whole situation. Because if the buck stops with him, Fan the Media can talk, Wilcox can talk, and stuff like that. if the owner is saying 3 years, I think we have to respect the 3 years. Because when you look at it and you look at the team is not improving. Like, I don't think the team is better than last season. You could argue it is, but I think the league just as a whole is like sort of congested. There are a lot of teams that are just having like quite a bad season. I'd say only the top 3 teams are actually having a decent season, like a good season this year. The rest of the teams like are having like, well, apart from Sunderland as well, but like the rest of the teams, like it's not up to par. So when you look at United and you look at where they're going and what they're doing, especially around Amorim and what he's doing, I think he's betting on the fact that, yo, like, I asked for certain things over the summer. I didn't get those. And you gave me this. You gave me Benjamin Tesco. You gave me a lot of random characters that I hadn't asked for. Now I sort of have to sort of fit them in. You said I should use Ugarte, and Ugarte can't even pass the ball straight. So there's that issue there where like there's a lot of wrong things that I think he's contending with. And I think with the reshuffle also, because we also have to not we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that there was Dan Ashworth in the building. Dan Ashworth was sort of the guy that was going to lead the charge. And then when he left due to disagreements about probably around Amorim and was going to be hired because according to the grapevine, uh, Ashworth wanted Southgate and Barada and Wilcox because they're city guys. They wanted Ruben Amorim. So I think they won out and they got Amorim. And then when Ashworth left, sort of Jason Wilcox was brought in to sort of be the sort of like sporting director to take on those responsibilities because we didn't hear of an Ashworth replacement. Man United fans can tell us in the comments if we're wrong there because we didn't hear of a replacement for Ashworth. So now Wilcox is now taking on those additional responsibilities. So Amarin's sort of like his full guy now, like that's his guy. So you have to like back him to the hills because his boss, Omar Barada, is a big fan of Amarim. And we remember those pictures on the first day when he arrived at the training ground. We saw Barada smiling from cheek to cheek. Same thing for Jason Wilcox. So now they sort of have to like now back him through this difficult period. I was reading a story the other day and they're talking about how potentially for Ruben and this team, like they're probably looking at least a decade of getting back to like challenging. And to me, that seems like a fair assessment. They're sort of giving Ferrari vibes at this point, in all honesty, like in terms of like just not winning. Like it's just all hype. We remember the predictions at the beginning of the season and to see where they're at now. Let's not confuse, and just to close it out, Muta, let's not confuse like just being in sixth, then being on 30 points and saying they're doing wonderfully and they're 31 points and they're 3 points away from the top 4. They drew against Wolves. Wolves, who have, I believe, 3 to 6 points, like they were the worst team in the Premier League at this point. They still are, but like they drew against them and they drew against Leicester. I mean, Leeds today. So, and it's not like it's just going like when you sit back, and I think this is something that maybe something that Manchester United fans needs also take a look at. Sit back, take a look at it, and ask yourself, if I take away the fact that I support this team and I just look at this team from an objective POV, is this team doing anything good? Are we like looking like a team that could win games? Because the striker's not scoring. Doku all of a sudden is now playing number 10. He's not playing number 10, he's playing right wing. Like Okate and Casemiro, arguably the weakest midfield in the league. I'm probably wondering now, I'm pretty sure even Brother Paleba now is asking like, do I really want to go there? Like that team doesn't need like 2 to 3. Like 2 to 3 players honestly won't fix the issue. 2 to 3 players will paper over further cracks, which have been highlighted over the years. And I will always go back to this quote of Ralph Rangnick, someone who actually knows and understands how to build successful football clubs. I think he was there, however long he was there, and he openly said, even when they gave him the role as like an interim coach, he was like, here we need open heart surgery. And I'm pretty sure that rubbed up the leaders the wrong way. They're like, no, he has to go. And I'm pretty sure like the whole time until he became like the Austria coach, he was pretty much probably just bang on that drum saying, guys, this team needs open heart surgery. And they're like, no, you don't know anything. You were good in probably in the 2000s. Now is this the 2020, like the 2020 century, like 2020 like era? You're out of date and shit like that. So now they're probably looking at it and thinking like, maybe that guy was right. Maybe that guy was right. Because we look at it like there is no team in the Premier League. Like when they signed Aiden Heaven, I don't think they envisioned him playing for Arsenal for like playing as many games as he's played, number one. Number two, I don't think they envisioned playing Casemiro this year. It was maybe the year where they were moving him on. Because even Manchester United pundits, Roy Keane, Gary Neville, this whole thing came from leave the football before the football leaves you. They were talking about it. So now, if Manchester United legends are now talking about you in this regard, and you're still playing to this date, like, no one had heard of the keeper that they signed. Even United fans were so happy that we're just like, as long as it's not on Nana. Fine, we don't know this guy, as long as it's not on Nana. And then you look at the other players. I mentioned Sesko, like, he's been terrible. And look at the other players, like Burma and Cunha have done more than what was expected of them. So, in all honesty, like, and United fans have turned on Dalo as well. Like, it was a trusted player that they had. Now that was a turn on him. So, in my opinion, when you look at like the whole situation, you think about the team and where they are today and where they're going tomorrow. We're literally just going. It's literally just going to come back full circle. Like in terms of like just this manager, the club, they sort of have to now sort of like die on this hill, like, because nothing's going to get better. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
You know what's so funny? What I'm thinking about when you're talking about Casemiro, that moment when he was getting subbed off in that game that he was actually playing pretty decently and he was shook. He was like, wait, me? Is that a mistake? Me? And they're like, yeah, you. Yeah. And I think that's the same game that Xerxes scored and then they took him off at halftime. And then they took off Casemiro. And then put on Fletcher. I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but this guy, man, he does not, he loves chaos. He doesn't like peace. He likes problems. He doesn't like to see things happen. I think Amorim is like doing an active job to sabotage so that like either he gets what he wants and like the only way he can put pressure on the board is by having poor results. Like that's what makes him happy. And that's why like with the Newcastle thing, when I was like, oh shit, this actually worked out. Let me not do that again. Or if something's actually working out, he's like, nah. Let me switch it up. Like when something's working well, he'll be like, nah, I'm going to remove 2 of my center backs and I'm going to put 2 kids who are not center backs, but are going to play center back. Let's see how that shakes out. Or like against like, I know a lot of criticism have been when they are playing like Leeds and Wolves, he had like 7 defensive players. And I know a lot of like United legends, a lot of fans are like, hey, yo, why are we playing 7 defensive players against bottom level teams? This is not the Manchester United we know. What's going on here? You know, there's all that. It's just interesting. And the other interesting point about this as well, 2 points is, first of all, Manchester United is playing once a week. They're not in any other competitions. They've got all the time to figure it out once a week, and they're not. So it's like, damn, man. And then the other point that I want to raise, connected to that once a week thing, is the fact that last season, we actually made an episode about this, a previous episode talking about like, when that Sir Jim interview happened and they're talking about like their financial woes. And then we said the fact that they're not even going to play Champions League this season and they're not in any European competition, they don't have the funds to do open heart surgery. They don't actually have the funds to get, and then they spend funds on Buemo, they spend funds on Cunha, they spend funds on Lemons, Sesko. They actually spend those funds. Where are the funds supposed to come from for January? That's my question. And do they really think they could afford Semenyo? Like that release clause plus however much more? Like, realistically speaking, who can United actually buy in the market? Like, for January? Like, I'm curious. Maybe Samson, you have some ideas, but like, it's something I've been thinking about. Like, they are broke. Who would Amorim even get? And who would actually want to, like, Baleba? Like, Baleba's expensive.
Yeah.
Can they afford Baleba?
Look, loans, man. Loans. Go loan, man. And this is why I thought the summer was a gamble, because I'm pretty sure I remember telling you guys, Manchester United should not be signing a player like Cecil. A player that costs 80 million should be signing tried and tested players. I remember campaigning for Dominic Calvert-Lewin to be signed at Manchester United for free. Free! Like, the best signing they could have made. Look at the December the brother has had. He was banging it in every week. If they had signed him, I think he could have done something. I think he could have done something much better than what the man Mr. Cisco is doing, because Cisco's young, and we knew this. We knew he was going to take time. We heard the story about, he was so scared of joining Arsenal because Havertz was there. Like, we heard it all. We saw him with the penalty shootout against Grimsby. He was running from the penalty shootout. That's who he is. He's a young guy. He's not ready for this. You should have signed an experienced old heads across the team and saved some money. But that's not the Manchester United way. These guys are victims of their past. They want the Hollywood. They want the star names. They want people who've been there and they've done it.
But apparently Amorim wanted Watkins, and he didn't get Watkins. And Watkins would have been that guy. Like, I don't know why that didn't happen, but
I don't know.
that's also one of the points of contention. Apparently he wanted Watkins, and Watkins did not happen.
Again, I don't get it. I don't get, like, it's like they're addicted to not making smart financial, decisions. Because again, the signings, I did like Mboimo, I did like Acuna, but I just thought, if you're going to build a team, you start with the most critical areas first. Mr. Mongori here, our resident analyst, he always says it. Start with you build the spine. Focus on the spine. If you're going to do open heart surgery, if you're going to do surgery, think about it. Opening up a body, replacing everything. Don't you want to start with the nervous system of that body? The keeper, the center backs, the holding midfielders, and the striker. Like, that's what you should start with. That man signed 2 wingers for 60 million. That's what he did. And now he's complaining. I'm sorry, man. You did not make smart decisions in the summer. So you're just going to have to hold it, Play a 4-2-3-1 and just survive. Otherwise, watch the car crash, because, hey, man, they don't have the players for this. Although, I do think Amorim could make it work. And I think, Mutsa, I think you bring up a good point, because people are going to brush you off as like, Mutsa's always here with his conspiracy theories. Amorim can't be losing games intentionally. To those people, I'll say this. Watch Xerxes' last 2 games he's been subbed on. And ask yourself why that brother doesn't start games. Ask yourself why this man insists on playing Casemiro and Ugarte at the same time. And you literally watch them attack, and Casemiro is crossing the ball into the box. When in your life have you seen Casemiro cross the ball into the box? Not only is he doing that, he's doing it with his weak foot. Ask yourself if that is reasonable, if that makes sense to anyone, if that's something you would plan logically. Be like, yes, this is how we want to play, so I want to open the team up. Casemiro, you're going to end up on the left wing. You're going to cross it into the box. He actually completed the cross, and Sesko missed it. But ask yourself if that is actually a good plan to have in the first place. I don't think it is. And I think, Muta, you might be onto something here.
There's even that time when he played Dorgu. I think Dorgu cooked. There's a game he cooked where he was playing as a right wing, and then he scored a goal or an assisted. It was in Newcastle. Then the next game, he was playing right wing back or left wing back. So it was like a switch. And people were like, whoa. You just saw him cook. What?
He's cooking a little too much.
Exactly. So, United fans, I'm not even trolling. I'm telling you, Amorim does not want y'all to cook. I think, especially in December, he's like, I need to do as much damage as I can, as possible as I can. You know what Amorim is a master at? Amorim's a master at winning and losing strategically. That's what he's a master at. He will say, okay, I'll have a few bad games and I'll give them a win. And have a few bad games and I'll give them a draw. Just so that, like, it's he's managing it's not like a slew of bad results. It's like nah. Give you some, take some. And then that's just kind of how he maintains a lot of like, because as long as there's like a 50% of people who say Amrim out and 50% people saying Amrim in, he's safe. Once it starts getting to 70% saying, hey yo, this guy needs to leave, those are the dangerous levels for a coach. So I think he's keeping that 50-50 balance. He's a master technician, that guy.
You know
Clock
what?
him.
I'm just gonna go back to the schedule because I liked what you said there, and I think it makes a ton of sense. I'm just gonna go back to the beginning of November. All right, draw Nottingham Forest, draw Spurs, lose to Everton, beat Palace, draw West Ham, beat Wolves, draw Bournemouth, get beaten by Aston Villa, beat Newcastle, draw Wolves, draw Leeds, and that's where it's like something's not adding up here, man. Some of these games, it's just not adding up. Because again, this is one game a week. And in some of these games, if you go look back, he subbed off center backs in some of these games. Go look, he subbed off center backs and subbed on center backs. It didn't make any sense. So you might be onto something there. You might be onto
That Bournemouth game, that 4-4. Just go back and look back at that game. Just look at the things he did. That 4-4 was not a mistake. Anyway, Mangoro, I know you were about to say something. Go ahead.
I think we also have to, just on this point, we have to address his arrogance, like in the sense that you win a game, you play it back four. Everyone's saying play it back four. The one game you actually play it back four, you win. And then you're just so arrogant where you're like, I think he had mentioned something about the Pope earlier, about his back three formation. It's like if the Pope told him to change, he wouldn't change. I think that was the quote. Listeners can correct me if I'm wrong. And he's so hell bent on playing this thing, and it gave him the Bournemouth result. It gave him the Leeds result. It gave him the Wolves result. So I think for him, it's like, I'm going to show them, like, these people, they don't believe. And to us, it's like, one, you don't have the players to execute what you're trying to do, number one. Number two is, I would understand if he was 3 months in and he was still arrogant. We now have close to a year's worth of data to look at to realize that, bro, this ain't working. Like, it's never going to work. Like, go back to Sporting and do it there. It'll work there. You have the players for it. Here at United, it's just not going to work. Like, and just generally in the Premier League, the trend usually is back threes are usually like formation that technically really don't work, especially for an extended amount of time. You look at successful teams that have used it. They've used it, but then they've had to change over the course of the period, course of a period of time. Like when you remember Chelsea when they won the league that year with Conte, the next day you try to continue and it failed. We remember Sheffield United when they came up and they had those overlapping center backs in that back three. It worked the first year and then flopped the second year. So for him, and the worst part for him is it hasn't worked from day one. There hasn't been a game where I'm like, damn, these wing backs are actually like creating so much overload for United in the game. Because we remember the days of Victor Moses and Marcus Alonso, how potent they were, and David Luiz. Like for them, we've never actually been there isn't a game where like if Jason Wilcox or Mabarada were to call him upstairs and ask him, like, Amron, can you give us a game where you tell us that it came together here today or with this back three? Give us one game. And I'm pretty sure he'll be there left scratching his head like, I don't actually have a game. Like, because when you look at it, you're like, maybe you could argue the one against Liverpool this year, but we know at Liverpool there was a civil war there. That's a different story. But when you look across the board, across his however many months, he's like, I think it's a year and a bit now, where he's been at the club. It's like, give us something, like not 5 games or no. I know 5 games is a lot, even for the brother with the hair thing, like Mr. United Strand. Like, I'm pretty sure he's given up at this point and about winning 5. I think United fans should definitely check on that brother in terms of like just his blood pressure at this point, because he said maybe at least these next 5 games after Newcastle, he could probably get a haircut. But I think at this point he should just get a ponytail at this point. There's no winning now. But going back to my original point, it's just very critical for him to actually like think to himself, sit down and think to himself. I think he like, as much as I mentioned in my earlier spiel that he should think, the fans should think about a self introspection of the club. I think the manager also has to do the same. Just on this point, on sit down and think, hey, let me look at every single game I've played in all competitions and ask myself, is there a game that I can say that I was proud to be the Manchester United coach because of my system and not because the other team was in bad form or like something weird happened in the game or I got a funny set piece and I won? Is there a game where I went in and the back three dominated, like the entire system worked like how I envisioned it in my head? It actually translated onto the field. Is there a game? If there is, you should take it to the leaders and say, hey guys, look at this. This is the blueprint. This is what I was thinking of. And look at how I executed it. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't even have that case study. Like, I'm pretty sure that Colin will be like, show us. And then be like, oh, I don't have, we're still working, we're still figuring it out. And that point that you mentioned is so pertinent, Muta. On they play once a week. I don't think a team that plays once a week should be where they are today. If you play once a week and you play once a week and you have all of these injuries, like what exactly is happening at the club? And then I don't even want to get into, but I'll get into it anyway. This Kobe Minor situation, that's something that needs to be addressed in the sense that you don't want to play him, but you don't want to loan him. What is it? The one game where you've brought him on this season, I remember the City game. United fans can tell me about the other games. The one game where you brought him on against City, I think I don't know if he got an assist, but he looked promising. He was actually carrying the ball from end to end and actually giving City problems. But just because of the arrogant nature of him, he was like, no, I'm going to show this player. I'm going to put him in the naughty corner and I'm going to keep him there the whole season, even when I need him. That's why now I can bring in more Mandondo and Bulesi and all of these guys you were mentioning, because he just doesn't have any faith in that brother. This is a guy that played in the Euro final. We forget that. He played in the Euro final as a starter at 18 years old. We saw him rescue Man U I think last season or the season before in many different competitions. And you're telling me now all of a sudden he's not good enough? Ugarte is leaps and bounds ahead of him, as well as Casemiro? What a joke.
And the Fletcher boys, putting on the Fletcher boys instead of Mainu. It's like, are you really telling me those untalented Nepo babies are better than Mainu? Come on, man. Come on. I don't know.
And that makes me also wonder, the injury that he's saying that he's out for now makes me wonder, is he really injured at this point?
Yeah, I don't think, has there even been word on what the injury is?
No.
I've not seen anything really. I remember it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, they just said he picked up an injury. I don't actually remember what the name of it.
I actually think he's getting punished because his brother came out with that shirt, that free Mainu shirt. And we haven't seen him since then, or pretty much since then. And he's saying, oh, he's got an injury. But come on. Come on. This guy Amorim is you can't fool me. You can't fool me. Also, I was going to say this interview that he gave today has created a lose-lose situation for Manchester United, because on one hand, now Amorim is saying that he's got 18 months and he's going to leave, right? He looks like he's one leg out the door anyway. It doesn't look like he wants to be there. Why would the higher powers spend money on the players that Amorim wants? To me, if I'm Wilcox, right, and I'm all these guys, why would I go into the market and spend 100, 200 mil, get more loans to bring in players, to give them to Amorim in a system that I know he's not going to change, right? He's going to still play the 3-4-3. Plus, he's not really intending to stay that long. It doesn't seem like he wants to stay that long. So it's like, what's supposed to happen here? That's kind of what I'm now like thinking. Like, it's a lose-lose situation because, of course, the board is not going to give him the money for the players. Of course, they're not going to do that. And of course, Amorim is not going to be happy about it. So he's going to keep sabotaging games. So what happens?
It's such a weird thing, like, because of the decisions he's making, right? Because there's no really any clear decision. Even though, like, I did look at some of the stats, they are up there in terms of expected goals per match or shots on target per game or touches in the box per game. But that's just because they are very top heavy, you know, and I think those numbers have gone down since the brothers went for AFCON. So they can do that, but it's just that the system doesn't really help them win games. And it's like, if you are a sporting director, right? Like, again, let's put ourselves in Jason Wilcox's mind, and let's imagine we're trying to do our jobs the way Amorim has told us to in the press conference. Let's just not forget, he said everyone should do their jobs. I'll do my job, you do your job, right? Let's try to do our job. You look at the team, you're analyzing the performances, you're looking at the gaps. Like, watching United draw against Wolves and draw against Leeds, who do you sign in the market to fix those problems? Like, what can you see in the team that tells you, okay, this needs to change here and this is to change here? Like, it's not clear like what's not working because we really don't know. I can't tell you what United are really good at because it changes game to game. Like, it really does. Like, some games, and I guess it depends on who's playing, but some games, Mbuemo, Ahmad, just phenomenal. Just down that right wing, combining well, shooting. It looks good. Other games, like, it's Casemiro literally just bailing them out on corners. Like, I can't tell. Like, who do I sign? Where do they play? Who's like, I can't do my job because you're not doing your job because your system is kind of terrible. Like, it, and these two things are supposed to work hand in hand. You know, it's not, let me just do my thing and be stubborn and the other guy up top will figure it out. He's figuring out, like, if this is how you're going to be stubborn, he's going to be stubborn. And this is just what's going to happen.
It is what's going to happen. So, okay. So like, maybe this is the final overarching question. And Mangora, I want to hear your perspective on this then, because we've kind of dived on what Amrim is doing and what the board's doing and kind of the history here. Who should hold most of the blame for the situation at hand right now between Amarim and between the board? Who holds and again, the context is that, some didn't want Amarim to be there. Some did. And obviously Amarim came, so whoever wanted Amarim got what they wanted. But now they're not giving Amarim what he wants, and Amarim is throwing his toys out the pram, essentially. Anyway, with this whole situation, who actually holds most of the blame, and how do you think United should move forward?
Definitely they all deserve the blame equally, the board and the board ownership, the entire leadership structure and the manager. I'd say 50-50 split. But I'd low-key lean towards the manager, 51%, 49. Like, he has made some atrocious tactical decisions, as we've highlighted today in this episode. But I'd say, definitely they're not going anywhere anytime soon. The thing is, my biggest thing with them is they'll scrape more points and maybe finish in the top 10. And then it'll be seen as a hooray, we've made progress. And then next season we're back here having this conversation. I'm pretty sure if you track back to 2022, we've been having literally united conversation about the manager or the team as a whole over the last 3 years. And it's been the same thing. We've been regurgitating the same information. We haven't literally come up with anything new. It's literally been the same thing. We just change out the names from Eric Ten Hag to Ruben Amorim. That's literally all we've done, basically. Same ownership. We just removed Glazers. We now have Sachin. We removed Ed Woodward. We now have Barada and Wilcox. That's all we've done. Like, it's literally been the same. But I do also want to point out another brother that sort of is hiding in the background, but he's also at fault. And I remember him from his time at Chelsea. Christopher Vival is part of the issue here. I don't know why he's not spoken about as much, because remember, Christopher Vival is he leads the global recruitment players. And when he was at Chelsea, he did sign us some duds. So now at United, like, some of the players that he signed, we're seeing how like, I'm pretty sure he pushed for Sesko because he came from Leipzig and that's his guy. Like, he pushed for him. And some of the players that they've signed, like, I'm pretty sure that, and the ones that they're looking at right now, I'm pretty sure that he's pushing for them and he should get the blame. So in essence, they both deserve the blame as equally as possible, because, like, when you look at it, like, they've just, like, we can't say, like, some clubs, like, you can clearly see that the manager's doing more than what is available to him, and then it's the club that's disappointing him because they're not getting in the players that he needs to continually improve, because the players are not improving. The board is not supporting the manager. So literally, there is no one that is supporting each other here. It's just let's just hang on for the kids kind of situation, basically. Here, that's what I'm seeing here. So when I think about it and where they go next, my opinion is, I'd say a separation at the end of the season, where, like, they both agree to mutually terminate contracts, and United just start afresh over the summer, because it's an L. Because one thing we're forgetting here that not a lot of people actually do understand is these people that United have put into leadership positions. One, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Sir Jim Ratcliffe owned Nice. Where is Nice today? He doesn't have a track record in football of having a successful football team. He has a track record of being a football owner. That's one thing. But a successful football team, it's a different story. Second, Omar Barada. What was Omar Barada when he came from Manchester City? He was a COO, and now you're gonna elevate him to the highest office within the entity of CEO. Never held that role, and you're not gonna put that pressure on him. Jason Wilcox. Where was Jason Wilcox? He was spent some time at City, but then he was at Southampton. Like, name one player that's literally come from the Southampton Academy in the last 5 years, because he was leading that technical side and the recruitment side. Like, fine, he did sign Romeo Lavia and things like that from City. Like, he did have a hand in those players, but now you're going to take him. It's like taking, like, a coach from the training ground and saying, put on a suit and go sit in an office and make decisions now, basically. Like, you're giving him positions where he's like, yo, I just want to be at the training ground developing talent. Now you're telling me to wear a suit and think about strategic decisions about managing things like that. Because there was a misalignment across the board. And that's why also, like, when the stories came out after Ashworth left, what they'd agreed upon on Ashworth's responsibilities and what he ended up doing was so misaligned, where that's why it just never worked out. Like, they said he's going to come do 1, 2, 3. And he was doing 99, 100, and 101 things. And he was like, wait, what is this exactly? So, and then you look at Amorim. You bring in Amorim. And to me, Amorim is such a fascinating coach in the sense that there's some coaches that are good coaches to coach in Portugal, and they stay in Portugal. They shouldn't leave Portugal and go elsewhere. If they leave Portugal, they should go to Saudi, or they should go to the MLS. That's their realm. And then you have coaches, because, like, if United get rid of him today and he goes back to Portugal, he's going to be dominating. That's a fact. It's like the same thing with Ten Hag. Ten Hag, after he came to United from Ajax, and he stunk up the place. Once he left, he went to Leverkusen, stunk up the place. Realized that's not him. He went back to Ajax. He went back to Holland. He's doing much better now. So there are some managers where it's like, don't leave your comfort zone. Don't leave what you know. Stay there and don't try and explore and say, fine, it's a big job and all, but ask yourself, am I that person? Am I the right person for that job? Like, to me personally, I would bring in Eddie Howe and I get rid of the entire team there and put in Dan Ashworth to lead the team. And then then possibly we would see something. Dan Ashworth, Eddie Howe, and Sir Jim, we could see something. The current structure, to me personally, it just doesn't work. That just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. The other thing that I've also realized is because in the interview, Amorim did say, this is direct coach. He said, it's going to take like this. It's going to be like this for 18 months or until the board decide to change. I'm not going to quit. I'll do my job until another guy is coming here to replace me. Essentially, he's calling the board out like, the only way this changes is if you actually fire me. And the only reason he's saying that is so that he can get a pay cut. Like, they will have to pay him out. Again, we did speak about this before. Does United have the money to pay out and fire Amorim? I don't think so. Do they have the money to fire Amorim, spend money on getting another coach, another manager, and then have enough money to buy players for the squad? That's a lot of money. I don't think they got it like that. So the only way they don't get into that situation is if they just let Amorim run out his contract, of which Amorim will keep doing what he's doing. And he knows, at this point, Amorim knows they can't do anything to him, essentially. So he can just do whatever, go on this press run. So I think he's trying to push United as far as he can to see how much can I actually push the needle with these guys. I think maybe that's also part of what he's doing, to see how much he can push the needle, what will actually drive them. I don't know. I think he's doing a little bit of that. I think he's doing a little bit of what is of that, but I'm curious to see how this plays out at the end of the day. I'm very curious because the managers that they've mentioned are Darren Fletcher coming in as an interim coach, I guess. I think Xavi is out there as well. So
Yeah. Not very exciting names. I think what Kosi mentioned is just so important. Alignment. Alignment is everything, because when you need to spend money, you need to know where and why you're spending that money. Right now, it's just I keep thinking about that window, that summer window. It's just, I don't even think the players they bought, I don't think the directors knew why they were buying them. I think only Amorim knows where they're going to play. Only he knows how he's going to use them. And that's such a dangerous position to be in as a team, because these things have to work hand in hand, And now you talk about the next manager, Xavi, Fletcher, whoever it is. I mean, are they going to use these players? Are they going to care for a back three? Man, it is tough. It is tough, and I am interested to see where they do go from here. Maybe they go the Southgate route. He's free. He's just at home. He's not gonna make a fuss. If his England time is anything to go by, he's just gonna go with the flow, work with who he's gotta work with. Maybe he's gonna play. Some Fletcher's kids. We know Fletcher's definitely gonna play his kids, so they'll save money there a little bit. There's options. There's options. We'll see.
yeah, one interesting thing I'm reading here is that Liverpool actually considered signing Amorim before they signed Arne Slot, but they knew that Amorim plays the 3-4-3 formation, and they were like, this formation does not work in the Premier League, and we know he's not going to change this formation, so we're not going to waste our time, and that's why they went with Arne Slot. And now the question is, why didn't United have the same thoughts about that? Because actually, Chelsea are the only team in the Premier League era who've actually won a title playing a 3-4-3. I did not know that. Of course, I'm not sure if you knew that either, but
yeah,
apparently Chelsea are the only ones that have actually done it successfully. And I think they've only done it one time with that formation. So you know,
But you see, here's my thing. My thing is, I don't think Amorim's system and his coaching is necessarily like impossible to work. It's just the amount of money you need to pump into it. They need 2 new sixes. That is non-negotiable. They need 2 new center backs. They need 2 new wing backs. They need a brand new proper striker, like a top tier striker, an Osman level striker. Like that is even just top of my head. I'm thinking on at least 400 million, at least 4 to 500 million. Not to mention the bench, because you need a deep bench. My guy, they don't have that money, man. No one has that money. Liverpool were like, nah, we're not trying to spend that money. Like, come on. That's a lot of money. So the easiest thing to do is have a coach work with what you have. So you spend less, so you do, make that marquee signing. You do sign that one-star player. But nah, man wanted to rebuild completely, and cheap out on the rebuild too, so it is what it is.
it is what it is. I think for me personally, my blame lies a lot more with United's administration, because with all this information now, the fact that they still went ahead and signed Ruben Amorim doesn't make sense to me. And the fact that they fired Dan Ashworth, who had actually expressed that, hey, yo, this guy's not the right fit for this club, don't do it. And then they got rid of him, lost more money that way. And then now they're backed this guy and then put themselves in a corner. Sejim put himself in a corner saying, Amorim is we need to give him a chance, we need to give him a chance. All that, I think, is their doing. And Amorim is just responding to his environment, unfortunately. Like, that's just what it is. It's just a wounded animal and responding to his environment. And the people who created the environment, I think, are the ones that deserve the most blame, because those guys are clearly on some other. And as Mangoro, you pointed out where they came from and the misalignment that they have, I think that is the issue more than what Amorim is. Like, I don't know what other coach comes in and like suits what I guess they just have to be a yes man and just accept whatever they say. Like, oh yeah, just, change to do this, do that, do this. I don't know what the right formula is for United to be successful right now, but I do think that most of the blame, yes, Amorim has been terrible. I know that as well. So I think for me, my ratio would be like 70% higher ups, 30% Amorim. But that's for to change here and there. But yeah, those guys are crazy, man. Those guys are nuts. But anyway, I guess we'll see how the situation unfolds throughout the week. We are expecting him to get fired eventually. Like, I think that will happen. If it doesn't happen, I don't know because right now, from what I understand, it's a very icy relationship between Amorim and Wilcox, and I don't see Wilcox being the one that gets let go. Like, in this situation where it's like there's no more, it's not happening anymore. I don't foresee. It's like the Slot and Salah situation. I don't know how that's gonna get resolved. That hasn't really been resolved yet. I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but it's somewhat almost similar. So I don't know. I'm curious to see. But yeah, United fans, please let us know in the comments what you think. United fans, please tell us who do you think has more of the blame here? We'd love to know. Please do let us know. Hopefully we've done this episode justice. It wasn't meant to be like a bashing thing. I think we've been pretty objective in our analyses of this situation. I would like to think so, and hopefully that reflects in the comments that we receive. So, brothers, any last words on this situation before we end the pod?
On my side, I'd say long may it continue. One less competitor to worry about.
I'm gonna say I think Kobe Mainu, Arsenal. I hope we put in a little cheeky 20 mil there. Let's just test the waters. See, because we've heard they need the money. We've heard it's a little dry over there. So cheeky 15 mil even. Let's see what happens. See what happens.
That'll be greedy though. You don't need him. That'll be so greedy.
Well, actually, Spurs. I think Spurs could also use
I'll
a
take
guy
him.
like that.
I'll take him.
That would be a good move for him. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely take Mainu. Like, yeah, that's actually a good shout. Spurs could use a Mainu. You guys don't need him. You know what? Even release Eze back. I still hate him, but you know.
take him today. Oh man.
Anyway, with that listener, thank you so much for hanging out with the First Brothers podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.